Hi everyone, this is part 2 of Who Shot Sheriff Spaghetti? Mr. Soup, the headmaster, got a shock when PC Pineapple and Detective Donut arrived on the steps of the school. Mr. Mash got an even bigger shock when Mr. Soup knocked on the classroom door, with PC Pineapple and Detective Donut standing next to him. Some of his students thought Mr. Mash was going to be put in handcuffs. Sir, are you going for a ride in a police car? Asked Sausage excitedly. Are you in trouble, sir? Asked Beans. I certainly hope not, replied Mr. Mash sadly. PC Pineapple and Detective Donut would like to speak to you, said Mr. Soup with a worried look on his face. Mr. Mash was taken to the next classroom to be interviewed. Mr. Mash was looking very, very nervous. He'd never been in trouble with the police before. PC Pineapple showed Mr. Mash the marker pen. Does this belong to you? He asked. Yes, it does, he replied. Where did you find that? I've been looking for it all morning. It was found next to Sheriff Spaghetti, after he was discovered with a bullet in his leg. Oh dear, said Mr. Mash. How well do you know the sheriff? Asked PC Pineapple. Well, he's a very unpleasant person. He has said some very mean things about our school. What things? Well, he said that Hot Dog High was unfit for purpose. He's trying to do everything in his power to get our school closed down, demolished, and turned into a block of flats. What about the students? I cannot and will not let that slimy piece of spaghetti tear down my wonderful school. Mr. Mash needed a glass of water to calm himself down. He was very, very upset. Yes, I admit, I am not his biggest fan, but I did not shoot the sheriff. Meanwhile, the fourth item on the evidence table was the train timetable. Fingerprints were found on it, and they belonged to Pudding. So PC Pineapple and Detective Donut went to see him at the train station. They waited for him on the platform at Jam Junction. Pudding's train was shunting a line of trucks into a siding. He stopped the train and stepped down from the footplate. Hello, officer. Can I be of some assistance? Yes, we would like to speak to you about this timetable. And PC Pineapple showed him the piece of evidence found at the crime scene. Your fingerprints were found on this timetable, he said, which was discovered next to where Sheriff Spaghetti was shot. Did you say shot? Gasped Pudding. Yes, replied PC Pineapple. He was found lying on the path outside his house, with a bullet in his leg. Ooh, replied Pudding. Where were you yesterday about 5 o'clock? Asked the officer. I was driving the train. My passengers will testify my whereabouts, as they were all sitting in my coaches at the time. However, he continued, I did see him yesterday. The track runs behind his back garden. I whistled to say hello, and he started to yell at me furiously. So I stopped the train. The sheriff had a face like thunder. He was ranting at me, saying how loud my whistle was and how bad the railway was. He said no trains were ever on time. I told him that there was a new timetable, and I handed him a copy of it to prove it. I don't think he believed me. He was incredibly rude towards me. Then he snatched the timetable out of my hands before storming off into his house. He must have had it on him, or it fell out of his pocket when he was shot, but I certainly did not pull the trigger. The final piece of evidence was the bag of birdseed. Detective Donut knew exactly who that belonged to. It was Egg. He was always buying birdseed, which he used to feed the ducks. PC Pineapple and Detective Donut went to find him at the park, and sure enough, Egg was there, feeding some seed to the ducks. Hello, Egg, said Detective Donut. Can I speak to you, please? Oh, of course, replied Egg, and he saw PC Pineapple holding the bag of seed. We believe this bag of seed belongs to you. We spoke to Peach and Plum at the pet shop, and they said that you were the only one to have purchased any seed for the past month. Yes, it does, said Egg. Where did you find it? I must have dropped it. It was found next to Sheriff Spaghetti, on his path, where he was discovered with a bullet in his leg. So you see, Egg, this bag of seed was found at a crime scene. Where were you at about 5 o'clock yesterday? Asked Donut. Well, I was walking back from the pet shop. I just bought some seed for the ducks when I was about to walk past the sheriff's house, and I bumped into Mr. Mash. He was looking for something. A marker pen, I think he said. I helped him to look for it, but we couldn't find it. He did look very cross. He told me that the sheriff was being mean about the school and that he wanted to turn it into flats. After that, Mr. Mash went back to the school. So what happened next? Asked PC Pineapple. Well, next I saw Carrot running past me. He stopped to speak to the sheriff. There was lots of shouting. The sheriff looked angry, and Carrot looked very annoyed. Then he ran off down the street, replied Egg. Did you speak to the sheriff? Asked Detective Donut. Well, I didn't get much of a word in the conversation. He was ranting about me being on his property and said that feeding ducks was silly. He said some horrible things about them. He said they should all be shot because they quack too much, and he made me very upset. But that doesn't mean I shot him in the leg. Okay, thank you, Egg, said PC Pineapple. The officer and detective returned to the police station. This is no good, said PC Pineapple, who was feeling very, very frustrated. We are no nearer to finding out who shot the sheriff. Maybe we are looking in the wrong direction. Maybe the items we found next to the sheriff were put there on purpose. I think you could be right, smiled Detective Donut. My head is pounding. My brain is in need of urgent surgery to work this case out. What did you just say? PC Pineapple had a sudden realization. Donut, he smiled. I know who shot the sheriff.